Thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate you guys clicking on the video. Today we are going to be doing, for me, is going to be a really enjoyable upgrade to my mower. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding in some armrest. We're also going to be adding in a cable that will stop the seat from falling all the way forward, especially considering now that we're going to be adding armrest. We kind of want to add that in there. And then we're also going to be modifying, well, not really modifying, we're going to be making the seat set back just a little bit. I'll go into details why, but first let me show you what we're working on, and I'll show you the armrest that we picked up. All right, so if you're not new to the channel, this won't be no big surprise to you. We're going to be working on the Troy-Bilt Mustang Z42. We're going to be adding armrests to this. Like I said, we're also going to be adding in a cable that will prevent this from flopping all the way forward. I did have it on a battery tender, and you can see just resting up here. You can see what it's doing to the seat. And then we're also going to be making this seat set back just a touch. I have found if you do so, it is a little bit easier on your back if the seat is reclined just even a quarter of an inch. It's reclined just a little bit versus setting straight up and down. It kind of prevents the shock wave from going straight through your back, which I do have a bad back, and anything I can do to prevent further injuries or just pain in general, I'm going to do. This is what I got. It is not in OEM, but it is OEM numbers. So the main thing that separates this one from your quote unquote universal ones is this sharper edge here. There are some on eBay and Amazon that have more of a sloped curve. They say they're good for Husqvarnas. Could I make that one work? And it was cheaper. Could I have made that work to my seat? Yes, I could. I mean, it's just nuts and bolts. You can make about anything work if you have a little bit of common sense. But since there was an OEM part number, we might as well go with the OEM. Directions is pretty straightforward. If you want to pause the video, there you go. There isn't any part numbers on this, but I will put a part number in the description. But the first thing we need to do is I need to add back the seat springs. I've had these setting over the wintertime, compressed in my vise, and really the only time they've come out of the vise is when I needed the vise for something, and then I put them back in at the end of the day. So they've been setting for a while, compressed, hoping that it does soften it a little bit, because this is a pretty stiff ride. Even with your air pressure down to like 10 psi in the rear, you go humming along a field and you find a hole, you'll know it. You'll know it real quick. So, no further ado, I'm going to get the springs put back in. We're going to get that seat taken off. I can install these with the seat off, but I think for the video, and also I'm going to be adding some spacers to the front of the bolts here. I got to take the seat off anyway. So let me get that going, and I'll bring you along for the ride. All right, so let's go ahead and get these going here. And I have the little rubber covers warming up right now on the heat gun, just to make them a little more pliable for reinstalling. And they just simply attach here, 1/2-inch bolt. Pretty standard stuff. You don't need to go super crazy with them. Let me see if he says warmed up any here. and that'll do. They are kind of deformed a little bit, but it will be all right. Come on. One, you're embarrassing me in front of my friends. All right. That'll work good enough. Now, we focus our attention on removing the seat. Should be, I'm going to guess, probably 13, maybe 14s to get those top bolts off. And then you got like wing nut style there. So let me get some sockets and we'll, well, I lied. I don't actually need, you don't need to remove these at all. These are just made to slide, which I don't really understand that because they didn't make these ones slide. And if I had to design this, I would have made slots here so you could just loosen these up and just slide the whole seat. So, I mean, you still have to remove these all the way out because there's 2 to 3 holes right here that you got to remove this all the way out, like so. And then you can slide it. Remove that. I'll get that all cleaned up as well too. Let me get this put on the table, make some room over there at the bench, and we'll go over the process on how to add these armrests. All right, so if you have a Troy-Bilt Cub Cadet MTD of any variant that has seats like this, let's see if I can get you in here. So you have a dimple right there, a dimple there, and then there's a dimple right about there that you might not be able to see. And those are your actual marker holes. And what is cool about that is my commercial Troy-Bilt, which is basically a black Cub Cadet Z-Force, it has the same marks. So I will be adding those to this seat as well. And right now, as we set, I do have some blue Loctite on the threads. And I was reading the instructions, and basically they want you to just self-tap these, which they are, in a sense, kind of self-tappers. But I am going to add a tiny, tiny pilot hole just because I don't want to, I just want it to be easier going through with not a lot of force. So I'm going to go ahead and do that process now off film because, well, it's just drilling a couple holes. It's not really that big deal, and I don't even know or care what size drill bit it is. It's just going to be tiny. Yeah, so like that one, whatever that is, that's what it's going to be. So we're going to get that going, and then we'll start installing these. The only thing I'm really going to take off of the notes is it does say 70 inch-pounds for torque. So I will be getting the torque spec out, or the torque wrench out, and I will be torquing these down just because these are kind of specialty bolts, and I really don't want to go trying to find these because these screw into your wing nut clip style things. So I don't really want to deal with trying to find those, so I am going to torque them. I know I don't torque a lot of things, but something like this, being like one-off hardware, I don't really want to have to replace them, so I don't want to lose them. So let me go ahead and get those drilled. And all right, pilot holes are drilled, and I want to see if I can get these in on film here and not take a whole bunch of time. Let me get some shims here, or not shim, but trim tool.
See if that helps. Yeah, that's how it goes. All right, so I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm going to fight with these off film, and I'll let you know what the technique is. It's going to be wedging something in there to try to give some space, because right now it's getting caught up on the actual seat material. All right, so that actually went a little bit more smoother once I turned the camera off. Trim tool, push straight down, slide it in, hammer to tap it home. All right, and it's going to be a matter of making sure you got the right side. Another cool thing that is with this one here, make sure I'm in camera, is this actually has an adjustment here for how far you want your arms to come down, which I thought that was pretty cool. And even though these are off-brand, I'm pretty impressed with the quality of them. I mean, you got some pretty massive welds going on there, and the material it's thick. These probably weigh more than the whole seat itself. So let me try to get this set up here, get one. And to answer some comments about the heart stuff, I ended up buying these. I ended up coming across a sprayer for weeds, and it didn't have any batteries. It was just a sprayer, but it was brand new in a box. So I ended up buying these just because I needed the batteries, and then I thought, well, what the hell? I might as well use them. And they do what they're supposed to do. And to answer the question on, are they powerful? No, they're not. They're not DeWalt, which is my primary go-to. Okay. But that's kind of the thing I like about them, is that they're not powerful. They're perfect for lawnmower stuff. If you're just doing small stuff like anything under 14 millimeter bolt head or something like that, they're great for that. Because they're not powerful. So you're not going to risk breaking or stripping something, but they work good enough. Would I recommend them? Sure, why not? They're cheap enough. You know, I'm not worried if something bad happens and they fry out and they don't work anymore. So what? So go ahead and I'm going to get this one going, and then we'll break out the torque wrench and see if we can't torque these things to spec. All right, we have our torque wrench set at 70 inch-pounds. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of these beeping ones. I would much rather have the old clickety clack, but it only does foot-pounds. I don't like these because I always feel like I'm going to strip them. Yeah, I'm not using this. I'm just going to grab a wrench because I already feel like that's overdoing it. So let me grab just a regular. So I broke out the old German torque wrench, and I set it to good and tight. So we should be good there. Let me go ahead and get this seat out of the way, and then I'll show you the cable that we're going to be using, and then I'll show you how I plan on reclining the seat. Okay, so here's the idea. I cut some pieces of hose just off a scrap piece of rubber hose and did about halfway on the threads, and that's how we're going to elevate the front of this seat, just by doing that. Don't really know if the rubber will help dampen anything. I'm doubtful of that, but it will squish and allow me to get enough threads in there. I will put a little blue Loctite on there. For the cable, which I've already done to my other mower, the idea with it is the bolts that I picked out already have the flange going around like a washer. These are going to go in like so, followed with a washer, and then another nut, but we're going to put it on backwards like so, and that gives this cable enough room. The washer is also going to keep this from wearing the head of that bolt out, and then we're going to sandwich it with, when we drill our holes, then that's what's actually going to hold it to the seat and hold it to the frame. So let me go ahead, we'll go ahead and get this seat installed. Let's go ahead and we can just do this live, I guess. Grab this. Yeah. I don't really like doing this stuff live because I feel like sometimes it takes forever to do. All right, let me get our holes lined up. I'm going with the furthest hole because I need it to be back as far as I can. And get the blue Loctite. And I don't need to go crazy. As long as there's a little dab on there, it's good enough. Good enough. Oh, I need to put this in between. Which makes it even more enjoyable as a process to do. We're trying to line the hole up. All right, so yeah, I'm not going to do this live. I'm going to go ahead and just get this done, and I'll bring you back when it's done. All right, so back to the seat. I'm all done with the video. I went to go edit it, and like 3 of the ending of my videos, microphone must have died, so there was no audio. I do apologize, but I'm going to show you the end result here and what it looks like and what I did. Really didn't miss a whole lot here. So let me turn you around and I'll show you how it came out and the end result and everything on that. So give me a second. All right, so here we go. I've already got her in her parking space because like I said, I thought I was recording with audio. So here's your seat. Everything's installed. The cable. So we already had an existing hole on the right side and there was an existing hole on the left side. I'm not sure if some mowers had this set up, but I did have to make it a little bit bigger. And down here there was an existing hole as well. I had to make it a little bit bigger, but as you can see, with the hardware the way that it is, it allows free range of motion there. Same up here. And you can see it will just kind of fold up and just live down there. And when you bring her up, it locks. The spacers under the seat, you can see what we did there. Not a lot, but it does make a big difference. And same there.
If it doesn't give me enough recline, I will just cut some more rubber hose and go get some different hardware, which is what I had to do to this one, and I forgot all about that process. So if I need to, I will, but at this moment, I'm going to leave it the way that it is. I did get the armrest adjusted because these do have adjusters there. I did put a little blue Loctite just to hopefully keep it where it needs to be. So as you can see, we're OEM. Nothing's cobbled up, nothing's hacked up. You wouldn't know that that was an add-on. You wouldn't know that that's an add-on, but I do see why you need the factory one. With this curve, the way that it is, and with that being more of an elbow versus just a rounded off corner. I'll show you here on the other seat. You can see just how much of like boomerang shape that is versus just a C shape. So I'm more than pleased with the results of this. We'll see how well these armrests hold up in time. We'll see how well they do, but this will be the next one to get it. I don't know if I'll film that because, well, you're seeing it here. It'd be the same thing, just on a gray seat. So, yeah, that kind of sums it up for the video. And if you made it this far, please like, subscribe. If you know anybody that might help them, share it. I'm trying to grow this channel. We're almost ready to start breaking these things out. So my next video will be how to wake these things up from winter, because they're both stored. Show you the process on how I do it. Also, I'm waiting on some meta glasses to get here so that I can run some POV while I'm out taking care of properties and stuff. Tips and tricks, stuff like that, to if you're looking to start a lawn care business, and how to do it and how to be proficient. And like always, thanks for watching.